Our next speaker, it's a privilege to introduce him. He is Mr. Hirohisa Mori. He is the Director of the National Space Policy Secretariat, the Cabinet Office of Japan. He previously worked in the Ministry of Defense. He was the first secretary at the Embassy of Japan in Canada, and he also served as a visiting research fellow at the Institute for National Strategic Studies at National Defense University for the U.S. back at Fort McNair. He's got a Bachelor of Law degree from the Tokyo University in 1992. And, sir, we're privileged to have you here today. Thank you.
General Sheraton, thank you for your introduction. My name is Mori. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the 20th AMOS conference, and I would like to express on behalf of my office, National Space Policy Secretariat of Cabinet Office, on behalf of my office, I would like to express our appreciation for the organizer, the Maui Economic Development Board, to hosting such a wonderful symposium and to allow me to make a speech at the very, very beginning of the symposium, too beginning than I expected. And I would like to also express my appreciation for the good close relationship with the United States with regard to the space issue. Drastic change in the space field in the world, especially in the United States, give us good stimulus to consider, to have more interest in and to put higher priority on the space. Actually, 11 years ago, we made a new legislation, basic space law. It made it possible for us to utilize the space for national security. I remember that we had no idea what we could do and why we should do at that time. But we have taught about the space situation awareness by United States through many, many dialogues. And now, Minister of Defense has decided to have their own capability of SSA and started to deal with space issue. And we have further challenges to consider about what we should do next. And actually, we do not have a whole picture of the answer. So I would like to get some hint or clue through the discussion of this symposium and take it back. And could you show my slide, please? Yes. Okay. So I would like to, at this opportunity, I would like to introduce our space policy briefly and touching with the defense document, including the space situation awareness. I always start with this slide. As I mentioned, the basic space law was established in 2008. It is not so specific regulational legislation, but policy announcing legislation. But it was epoch-making law in Japan because prior to the law, The Parliament resolution in 1969, the very, very old resolution, limited the usage of space assets within peaceful purpose. And it was interpreted as non-military use only. But the basic law overrode this resolution and required the government to promote space utilization, not only civil and commercial, but also national security purpose. And our office, National Space Policy Secretariat, plays a role to coordinate the relevant ministries and supports the decision-making committee consists of ministers chaired by Prime Minister, and also supports the advisory committee consists of industry and academias. Based on the basic space law, we had a basic plan for space policy. It stipulates a 20-year vision and a concrete 10-year plan. The newest one was updated in 2015, and it is planned to review every 5 years. So next year, 2020, it's a year to update again. We have two more legislation which regulate the more specific area. The one is the Space Activities Act. Another one is Remote Sensing Data Act. And I think the Space Activities Act plays a role, important role for the to mitigate debris or other space situation. With regard to the budget, it is steadily increasing, but it is not so big. So we have to promote the international cooperation and to promote the expansion of commercial utilization. Then the defense document update. Again, prior to the basic space law in 2008, self-defense forces could not possess their own satellites and were only permitted to use space as a customer of commercial service. Information gathering satellites owned by cabinet were okay because its purpose was multi-purpose. But 11 years have passed, and now self-defense forces possess their own communication satellites, research military purpose sensor, and decided to establish SSA capability. SDF have already their own communication satellites, and another one will replace a commercial communication satellite, Superbird C2, in 2022. So total 3 they are going to possess. And then they are researching a satellite-mounted dual-band IR sensor, which can be used for early warning satellite. And it is still researching stage, but will be loaded on JAXA remote sensing satellite, ARO-3, Advanced Land Observing Satellite, and will be launched in next year for the demonstrative test in outer space. With regard to the SSA, MOD is going to start SSA system operation in 2023. JAXA is also improving their SSA capability by then. This is the newest defense document, new National Defense Program Guideline. It was reviewed in 2018, last year. A new document focused on space as one of new domains, which clearly mentioned that it had become essential that Japan achieved superiority in new domains, which are space, cyberspace, and electromagnetic spectrum. It also stressed the importance of enhanced cooperation with relevant agencies, including JAXA, with the United States and other countries. Following this guideline, MOD has decided to establish a new unit to deal with SSA in Air Self-Defense Force and to develop human resources and accumulate knowledge and expertise in the space field is crucial. Lastly, I would like to touch with the SSA issue. First, I have to describe that the space activities are getting more and more vulnerable because of increasing threat, intentional and unintentional. Intentional threats are not only kinetic but also non-kinetic attack, such as spoofing, jamming, and cyber attack. SSA is key to deal with some of these threats, but not all. We have to not only strengthen the SSA capability, but also to consider what we should do next. And this is a slide to explain what we are doing. MOD will establish a space unit next fiscal year and to start to analyze the space situation without waiting for establishment of their own SSA capability. Their SSA facilities will be operational in 2023 and will cover deep space with their radar. MOD is also considering space-based SSA capability. JAXA has already had SSA capability, radar, and optical telescope, but they are old and not enough, so they are renewing and improving them by 2023. JAXA is watching near-Earth orbit with their radar at Kamisaibara Space Guard Center, and deep space with their optical telescope at Bisei Space Guard Center. Radar will be improved from 1.6 meter resolution to 10 centimeter resolution at 650 kilometer orbit. And 1 meter diameter optical telescope will be renewed also. SDF SSA will cover deep space with its radar. With cooperating with JAXA as well as the United States forces, self-defense forces will contribute to aware the space situation. And the last slide is a blank of what we should do next. Actually, as I mentioned at first, we do not have complete answer for it. But I would like to mention about 3 keywords with this issue. So this is a really last slide. We need to consider about the SSA plus capability to aware space domain correctly. Actually, SSA is not sufficient to deal with invisible threat such as electromagnetic attacks. We need eyes and ears to acknowledge them. And even if we can see the space situation, we cannot understand what is happening correctly without analyzing it, including intentional satellite maneuver. And secondly, we should consider how to deal with these threats. In that sense, so resilient satellite systems are very important, the keyword. There are many elements we should consider. And lastly, in order to reduce the danger and to deter the threat, we need some rules or mechanism to manage or control space traffic. These are key challenges which we should consider next. Again, we do not have enough answers yet, so I'm looking forward to the fruitful discussion at this symposium next 3 days. Thank you very much.